Montreal's off to a nice start, but I'm going to tell you why I think the Sabres are still the better team and deserve to be favored on a Monday night home affair. Sabres and Canadiens. We'll preview it coming up on Locked On Sabres.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. And if you do so, be sure to like and subscribe the show. You can get involved with the show either on Twitter at Sneaky Joe Sports, at Locked On Sabres, or right in the comment section on our YouTube channel. I asked for takes from the fans on what the Sabres should do in goal on Monday and Tuesday, but I'm going to tell you in a second that I got to throw all those out because we know what's going to happen. And there was an injury that kind of prevented us from having the discussion. But we'll preview Sabres and Canadiens, a 7 o'clock puck drop at KeyBank Center Monday night, the first of a doubleheader or a back-to-back. Tuesday night at Ottawa is tomorrow at 6:45. I'll explain in the third segment of today's show why that's a 6:45 game, as there's a really cool thing the NHL is doing on Tuesday. So that's coming up. And then a look at the Canadiens. I think there's going to be a lot of Habs fans in the crowd on Monday night, so mentally prepare for that. They're a well-traveled crowd, and the Sabres have had their building taken over a little bit so far this year, and also, of course, in the last couple of years as the season ticket crowd has really gone away. Steadily coming back. 16,000 again on Saturday night. Pretty good against the New York Islanders. But Montreal we'll get to. Again, I want to explain why I think they are looking better than I thought they would, but why I'm not buying into them being like a legitimate playoff contender this year just yet. That's coming up. I do want to start, though, with the goalie situation. As I said, Devin Levi is dealing with a nagging lower body injury, so he will not play Monday. He will not play Tuesday. So we'll see if he gets in a little bit later in the week, either to practice or into a game. It will be Eric Comrie against the Canadiens on Monday night. Now, I said on Saturday night that I would start Comrie on Monday night. Well, now I disagree. I disagree with myself, and I disagree with Don Granato. It's fine. It could go either way, but here's why. I think Comrie on Monday in an easier matchup against Montreal, and Levi Tuesday against a direct competitor for a playoff spot. I think a more likely direct competitor for a playoff spot, and a team that I think is better on paper, is better in terms of the advanced numbers, and I should hold fast a little bit on the advanced numbers so far. Montreal's been okay. And it's on the road. I would have gone Comrie Monday, Levi Tuesday against Ottawa, but no Levi. So with that information, I would have told you I'd go Luukkonen on Monday, Comrie on Tuesday. Because right now, I think Comrie is the better of the two goaltenders, the more trustworthy of the two goaltenders. I'd play him in the tougher matchup. That's not what we're getting, though. The Sabres will be an underdog on Tuesday night when they play the Senators, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is going to be between the pipes on Tuesday. And that is very scary to me. He is very erratic. We have no idea what we're going to get from him. And that team, Ottawa, is a team you are trying to stay ahead of. So we'll see what Luukkonen gives the Sabres. Again, I think it could go any which way, including very poorly. But it'll be Comrie Monday night against Montreal, which I do think gives them a better chance to beat the Canadiens. He was great. He was great against the Islanders on Saturday, and he was very strong in the preseason and training camp. So all the momentum is in favor of Eric Comrie right now. The other injury update to get to on the Sabres, Zach Benson. He is working back on practice as an extra. He's not yet doing line rushes, but Don Granato just said he could be an option for the Sabres on Tuesday against Ottawa. I think that kind of sounds to me like he will play against the Sens, but we'll get a better indication. He'll actually join, Don Granato will join myself and Jeremy White on WGR Sports Radio 550 in Buffalo tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. So hopefully we get some information on Benson then. The Sabres lineup for this game against Montreal. It looks pretty similar to what we saw the other night when they played the New York Islanders. The only difference really being, there really is no big difference. Top line, Tage Thompson centering Jordan Greenway and Dylan Cousins. I like that line a lot. In their first action together, the Cousins played really well in the wing. Casey Middlestat centering Jeff Skinner, Alex Tuch. Tuch's still going to wake up a little bit. He did have that fight in the last game. Peyton Krebs centering JJ Peterka and Victor Olofsson. Tyson Joe centering Kyle Okposo, Zemgus Girgensons. And then the blue line, Dahlin with Samuelson. Sammy Squares 2.0. If you're interested, you better hit me up quick because this is going to be rocking and rolling by game time. Owen Power, Henry Jokiharju together, Connor Clifton, Ukapeka, Eric Johnson. Luukkonen will be the backup tonight for Eric Comrie. So that's a look at the Sabres lineup. We will take a timeout here. What's going on with the Habs? They're off to a better start than people expected. I deserve some credit for that. And I got some advanced numbers that show that it's not totally fluky what they've been doing. But I also don't buy it that it's going to happen all year. That's coming up, and what their lineup will look like for Monday night's game coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented by Game Time. Hey, this is the last of a long homestand for the Sabres here. If you want to check out the arena, some of the new upgrades, the food, and maybe a Sabres win, go support the club, right? It's going to be a lot of Montreal fans, so the atmosphere could be pretty crazy for this game. Not Toronto crazy, but you can definitely get it crazy. If you want to be in the arena for tonight, you got to head to the Game Time app. You could make the decision 5 minutes before puck drop, sometimes after puck drop. If you want to get in the arena, check out the Game Time app. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the best place to find last-minute tickets. You can find exclusive flash deals, sponsored deals on tickets for not just hockey, football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and plenty more. And with zone deals, you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means that you'll get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They're not even just going to match it for you. They're going to credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Lowest price guaranteed. Back here in the Locked On Sabres podcast. This episode is also brought to you by Sleeper. Sleeper, my go-to. I think it is the best app in all of fantasy sports. If I'm in a league, hockey, football, basketball, whatever, and we're not on Sleeper, I am begging my commissioner every year to get on Sleeper. But it's not just season-long fantasy, it's daily fantasy. And you need to play daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. It's the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our top choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. With Sleeper, you can win up to 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. You can check out different players. Maybe you want Tage for over under 3.5 shots in this game. You can pick the player, you pick the stat, whether it's goals, assists, saves, plus, minus. You heard me, Sabre fans, 100-time payouts on Sleeper. So start paying attention, get your picks right so you can win big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Back here in the Locked On Sabres podcast, Buffalo versus Montreal on Monday night. Sabres and Canadiens, one of many that we've seen throughout the years. And this is not a good Canadiens team, but they've started well. So far this year, 2-1-1 in 5 games played. They do have a negative goal differential of -2, but 5 points in 4 games. That currently has them slotted 6th in the division in terms of points, but 3rd in the division in terms of points percentage. It's very, very, very early. Now, some of the advanced numbers on Montreal have actually been okay. They are 16th in the league in expected goals for percentage. That's higher than the Sabres. It's higher than the Senators. It's higher than the Red Wings. Red Wings by a lot. Red Wings are the flukiest team in hockey right now. They're 5-1, and none of their numbers look good. They're getting outshot every game. Shot attempts. They are 16th, just a tad behind Buffalo and Ottawa, way ahead of Detroit. Detroit's 26th, by the way. Jake Allen. Actually, what's funny is they're winning some games here, and they're not getting the best goaltending. Jake Allen, their starting goaltender, He started 2. Samuel Montembeault has started 2. They rank 40th and 43rd in expected goals for, or goals saved above expected so far this year. Their save percentage is down a little bit. They are not playing great, the 2 goalies to start the year, and that's because neither one of them, to me, are all that good. They're okay. They are good backups in the league, but they're currently splitting the duties of the number 1. So definitely a susceptible goalie pair. And that's maybe even more impressive they've had to start because they're not getting saves. I'm not expecting them to get saves at any point, and they found themselves at 2-1-1 here. So who is scoring? If you're not familiar with this Montreal lineup, Cole Caulfield and Alex Newhook, a couple of young guys, 23 years old each, 3 goals in 4 games for both of them. Caulfield leads the team in points with 5, Newhook just 3 goals. Sean Monahan has 4 points in 4 games. Don't count on that continuing. Tanner Pearson, 3 points. Nick Suzuki has 3 assists, but yet to score a goal. So, they got a couple of nice young forwards to build around here. Caulfield, Newhook is a nice player they got from Colorado. Suzuki, Kirby Doc, that's a tough injury that they sustained for him. So you won't see him in this game. Some guys, but there's a lot of veterans still on this team. The line combination, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Raphael Harvey Pinard. Get ready for that guy. Kind of out of nowhere. This is a 7th round pick a few years ago. Last year, he showed up after playing in Europe for a couple years. He played 34 games at the end of the season for Montreal and scored 14 goals, over a 30-goal pace in a short sample size. He's on their top line to start the year. So kind of an unknown. I don't know a lot about him other than he's put up some nice numbers and he's got some nice speed. So keep an eye on him. Second line, Alex Newhook is centering Yura Slavkovsky, the first overall pick from last year, and Josh Anderson. Slavkovsky, not been great. 19 years old. He's averaging just over 14 minutes of ice time a night, 1 assist in 4 games. Only 4 shots on goal in 4 games. They are really staring the potential in the face for him to be a big, big bust. But we'll see. Sean Monahan, Tanner Pearson, Brendan Gallagher. It's kind of the veteran line down there on line 3. And then Jake Evans centering the 4th line with Jesse Lonen and Michael Pezzetta. Remember the Pezzetta? He scored a shootout-winning goal against the Sabres last year. The blue line, Michael Matheson, David Savard, Jordan Harris, Jonathan Kovacek, and then Wi-Fi, Arbor Zhekev, and Justin Barron. This is one of the worst blue lines in hockey. And this is part of the reason I think they're going to sink. Even though they started well, and they got some nice forwards, and again, I don't really like the goalies all that much. I think they're going to sink because I think that's one of the worst blue lines in all of hockey. And that makes for big potential for the Sabres to score some goals in this game. I don't think Matheson, Savard, Harris, Kovacek, I don't think these guys can skate with the Sabres. I think the Sabres can run and gun them. And if they get out ahead early, then look out. It could get ugly because those defensemen cannot keep up with the Sabres' young and fast forwards. All right, that's a look at Montreal. The betting odds for tonight's game. Before I get to my keys of the game, my 3 keys of the game coming up in just a matter of moments. But first, the betting odds. The Sabres are, no surprise, favored in this game. A pretty big favorite, the biggest favorite they've been all year yet. Minus 184 on the money line. Again, for you non-bettors, if you were to bet $100, you would win 184. Montreal is plus 152 on the money line. If you were to bet 100 on, excuse me, I just messed up the Sabres part of that for you bettors. It's not, I'm a rookie too, apparently. Minus 184 for the Sabres. You'd have to bet 184 to win 100. Montreal plus 152. If you bet 100, you'd win 152. The over-under in this game, 6.5 goals, but the juice is on the over, minus 132. So if you want to make more than what you're betting, then you have to bet the under in this game. But I'm not betting the under. You've got Comrie versus Allen. I think both goalies are really suspect, even though Comrie's been better as of late. The Sabres play run and gun. The Canadiens have a bad blue line and have scored some goals themselves. So I like the over in this game, even if you got to eat the minus 132. Not over-unders, but this is the only game in the league, by the way, tonight, interestingly. The anytime goal scorer props for this game. I've been going with Greenway. He's had a couple of chances. He's playing on the top line, but now his odds are starting to creep up just a little bit. So, all right, you want an anytime goal bet for this game? Give me Casey Middlestat at plus 390. He was electric on Saturday night. He's creating chances for himself. Now, he likes to pass first, and he has Tuch and Skinner on his line. But Tuch and Skinner are good playmakers themselves. And Middlestat, I'm getting way longer odds, plus 390. So I bet 100 to win 390 if Middlestat scores, if that was the bet you're going to make, versus Skinner at plus 175 and Tuch also at plus 175. So those will look at some of the odds. And then the keys for this game, I got 3 keys for the Sabres to win this game. Number 1, ease Tage's frustration. At the end of the game against the Islanders, the Sabres had already been up 2 goals. In fact, they were up 3 goals, 3-0 at this point. Thompson misses a wide open net. The puck goes way over. He slams his stick on the ice. He gets up and he breaks his stick over his knee. And I've seen this in him a little bit this season. He's missing some chances, and he's frustrated by it, and he showed it right there. I think he's fine. I think he's playing better than he did on the first night of the year. So I think he's going to be fine. But you got to, I think getting him a goal or 2 in this game could be vital to not just this game, but to his success going forward. Eric Comrie to repeat Saturday night is the second key to this game. If he does that, I think the Sabres are going to win this hockey game. He wasn't tested a ton. Remember, only 25 shots against the Isles, but he played great. 24 saves, and the 1 goal that went in was not his fault at all. Third key to the game, get chances off the rush. The Sabres had 18 scoring chances to the Islanders 1. Off the rush on Saturday night. And as I've been saying in this segment, I think Montreal's blue line is very susceptible. You don't need to enter the zone, stop, set things up, and then try to get a chance from there. No, just go, baby. Go, go, go. Cousins, you got a full head of steam. Take him to the net. Try to go around him. Thompson, same thing. All these, Peterka with all his speed. Krebs, attack these Montreal defensemen, because I do think the Sabres can get around them with their youth. Time out here. When we come back, I wanted to spend a segment on the upcoming Frozen Frenzy by ESPN and the NHL. A really cool idea that you're going to see on Tuesday night, and the Sabres will be involved. If you've been living under a rock, I guess you're not living under a rock if you missed this. There's a lot of things happening. Anyways, talk about that when we come back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. All those odds we just went through are courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook, where the Sabres are favored against Montreal. It's not just hockey. You have Monday Night Football tonight. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. It's user-friendly. Like the breakdown, you go correct score, 60-minute correct score. Like, it's very descriptive, exactly what you're looking for in a bunch of different categories for different games. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you place a $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the National Football League. Final segment here in the Locked On Sabres podcast, and this is not entirely Sabre related, but they will be involved. On Tuesday night, ESPN, more so ESPN Plus and then ESPN2, is doing a really cool thing that I really hope works, because I have seen it work in not just 1, but 2 other professional sports. NHL Frozen Frenzy on ESPN starts Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. All 32 teams will be in action, starting at 6 and going all the way into the early morning. If you're an East Coast watcher, so starting at 6, you'll get Toronto playing, and then you get another game in between. At 6:45, you're going to get Sabres and Senators. This is all 32 teams in action, 16 games with staggered starts. Something that fans and myself specifically have been begging for years. So sick of, all right, Saturday night, you might want to watch a hockey game, and there's 10 games on, and they all started at 7:05. So, intermission in Carolina. Let me click up. New York's at intermission. Toronto's at intermission. Montreal's at intermission. Everyone's at intermission because they all line up, because everyone's playing at the same time, staggered start times. And that's not really even just the big thing. I mean, staggered start times is a part of this, but the whole Frozen Frenzy idea is ESPN's shot, or their experiment here, with red zone style for the NHL. If you're familiar with NFL red zone, it's the way I watch the league every Sunday. I watch every game every Sunday, and I have a routine. I have the Bills. If I'm not at the game, I have the Bills game on one TV. I have Red Zone on the other because I feel like I'm missing things in the league if I don't. And Red Zone with Scott Hansen that the NFL does, I mean, it is so swift and they've got it down to a science, right? Like it's not just when you enter the red zone, they go to that game because there's times where there's no game in the red zone. They just have their eye on everything that's happening. Okay, oh, we got a 4th and 1 here in LA. The Chargers are going for it. Let's go to that at the 40-yard line. And then, oh, we got an interception over here in Philadelphia. Let's go there. Like just recognizing what's happening in the league, going to it quickly. And even though sometimes like that pick I just mentioned as a hypothetical, sometimes that play would have happened 5 seconds before you saw it, but you don't know. You don't have time to run to Twitter and see it. So unless you don't have a notification that tells you every big play in the league, you're not going to know that it wasn't live. Especially if it happens only 5-10 seconds after the fact, which happens a lot. And I'm very curious to see how the NHL will go about this because NFL, it's easy. A play happens, you get a timeout, we can decide what to do next. Another play happens. Okay, we've got 30 seconds here before the next play. Scott Hansen and his producers have 30 seconds to figure out what to do next. Hockey's not like that. Hockey is go, 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 go. The play doesn't stop. There are some stoppages, of course, but not like football, where you know you're getting a stoppage every 30 seconds. Hockey, that's not the case. So I don't know what they're going to do. They did in their descriptions talk about how they're going to go from power play to power play, goal to goal. And I think that makes sense. Anyone that's on the power play and for how many games that will be going on at the same time throughout the night, there will be a lot of opportunities to do the power play. Maybe if you're the NHL, give a little wink to the referees, maybe call in a couple extra penalties maybe on this night too. Keep an eye on that. If you could bet some overs on penalties, maybe tomorrow's the night to do it. Or I should say tonight if you're listening to this on Tuesday. Anyways, I think it's cool. I'm curious to see how they'll do it. I think it's a tough job for hockey. Now, one other comparable I'll make to let you know that it can be done even when there's not stoppages. Soccer has this. It's called the Golazo Show. And if you're a soccer fan like me that watches the UEFA Champions League, CBS has their version of Red Zone. It's called Golazo. And you'll only have with that maybe 4 games going on at a time. Then like the group stage of the Champions League, but they'll go from action to action to action, goal to goal, penalty kick here, let's go there, corner here, let's go there. Soccer is able to accomplish it, and they don't have any stoppages. So I think it could be done. I'm curious to see. John Buccigross, Kevin Weeks will be leading the way. If you're wondering the details for this, 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus, and then they kick over to ESPN2 from 8 o'clock through the end of the night. So really cool idea. I hope it goes well, because if it goes well, maybe they'll do it again this season. If you're watching the Sabre game at 6:45, maybe I do the dual monitor thing. I would suggest it. That's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the Sabre game on one TV. I'm going to have the Frozen Frenzy on the other. So it'd be cool to see. All right. Thanks for listening. Enjoy Sabres and Canadiens tonight, and then we'll talk Sabres and Senators tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for listening and making us your first listen every day. Again, you everydayers. Tomorrow, we'll recap Sabres and Habs, and we'll preview Sabres and Sens. Tomorrow, here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.